Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our June 2024 meeting. Appreciate seeing everyone here. Always wonderful to have a joint meeting between ITS Georgia and ITE. I think this is already our second. Is it just the second, or is it the third of the year? Second, and we have another one coming up in July or September. I think we're gonna get tired of seeing each other. I think is what I'm trying to get at here. But as always, thank you for being here. I'm going to have Christy come up and speak about ITE in a few moments, and after that we'll introduce our sponsors. But first I want to just do some small business for ITS Georgia. First up, as always, annual membership is always open. We always encourage firms, agencies, organizations across the state and across the country to join. If you are interested in joining and haven't already, please reach out to membership at ITSGeorgia.org or contact Troy Galloway directly and harass him as much as you need to. Those memberships are done at an agency level, which means that if you're purchasing one, say as 360 NS, then every member of 360 NS is now a member. So that's a really great deal for you guys. And certainly if you are going to the annual meeting, it pays itself off very quickly. Next up is a reminder that elections and awards are already open. If you're interested in joining the ITS Georgia board, please feel free to either self-nominate or nominate a friend or counterpart for that position. Additionally, awards are open. Those will be open all the way through the annual meeting, but we love to go ahead and start getting those now. It's a very easy process to nominate. It's only 500 characters, so you're not going to be asked to write a whole book for that. Mary, would you like to talk about upcoming monthly meetings? Mary, there you go. Nope, okay, I'll do it for you guys. No problem. So, next month in July, unfortunately, while summer seminar is going on, but nonetheless, we will be having a monthly meeting that will be at Monday Night Garage. All are welcome to attend. And then there will be a monthly meeting in August, September. We will be meeting up with KSU and their student chapter here coming up in the fall before going to our annual meeting in September, which of course, I'll use as my segue. We would love to have everyone attend. Madison, if you would like to come up and speak about the annual meeting, I'd love to hear from you.
Hey everybody. So our annual meeting for ITS Georgia will be September 15th through 17th in North Augusta. We're very excited for it. The theme is Mastering ITS, going with a golf theme. Registration, exhibitor registration, and sponsorship is all live. You can find any information you need, hotel booking, on the ITS Georgia website, itsgeorgia.org, and on the annual conference page. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions as well. Hope to see y'all there.
Thank you, Madison. And again, that is welcome. You are welcome to join. Most of the folks that are here are members of ITS Georgia, so you can be registering in that particular way. And also important note, if you are if you work for public sector, we have scholarships open now for you to submit and get your registration paid for. If that is of interest to you, please email me, president@itsga.org. And we can help work you through that process. Those will be open until July 10. If you have individuals that are not here but are interested from your organization, please feel free to have them contact me as well. And with that, let me hand it off to Christy to talk about ITE before introducing our sponsors.
Hello everyone, my name is Christy John with Atkins Riales. I am the Vice President for ITE. Our president is out of town this week, but can you put my slides up, please? So sponsor later, right? Yeah, I think we're gonna put all the sponsors later. So if you wanna go to Georgia ITE slides, please. So yeah, we have a quick, a couple of things. So we have a STEAM camp coming up, if you can move to my slides. So this is one of our biggest initiatives that we are doing, a 2-day camp for elementary school. You keep moving. Okay, right here. Yeah, this is a STEAM camp. It's all full for elementary school, middle school, and high school kids. In July 13th and 14th, it's all full, but we need a couple volunteers to administer transportation-themed activities. So I think most of spots are full, but if you want to volunteer, there are maybe a couple spots available. So I'm very excited about this. Next, let's see. And I was going to give a big round of applause, but Sam has been notified as like International ITE's Young Member for the Year. So I know he's out of town, but maybe you can give him a round of applause for Sam. Yeah, this is just a reconfirmation of his leadership and dedication for this great organization, and I look forward all of the upcoming contributions he will make to years to come. With that, we have two monthly meetings coming up. In July, we have summer seminars, so we don't have one. But in August, we are going to have a joint meeting with Georgia Planning Association. That will be a SSA Safe Streets for All panel discussion. And in September, we will be meeting at KSU and student presentation and research on connected vehicles. So join us for that. With that, I have Alex to come up and make an announcement for summer seminar. So this is our signature annual conference, and it's family-friendly in St. Simons. It's coming up right around the corner. So I have Alex, conference chair, here to give some updates. Okay. Yeah, you don't need it, right?
Hey, I'll be quick. I know we got a lot to cover today, but just wanted to remind everybody we're under a month away from the conference. Registration will remain open. We are outside of our early registration window, but want to encourage you guys to continue to register. A couple of highlights. So golf, we are getting close to our cap for golf this year. Again, we're moving that to Sea Island instead of the King and Prince course. Sponsorships. If I've reached out or if your firm is sponsoring, please make sure that you're getting your ad information and your high quality logos to me. We're trying to wrap up things with our booklet. One other thing, so talking to Paul Sloan, if anyone's interested in helping out with AV that is either going to the conference or will be going to the conference, please let me know. I think right now we need a couple of people to help so that we can continue to offer that online format for the conference. But anything else, feel free to reach out. Thanks.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Hopefully I'll see many of you there. Just a couple more updates. Micro Simulation Subcommittee is looking for volunteers for Simulation Day. This will be a one-day event in October. So talk to San Juan and Atkins Reales. Safety Committee meeting. Safety Committee is having a meeting Friday, and this is another announcement if you want to join. With that, our meeting sponsors. So maybe we can just go back to Matt, and we'll do sponsors. So thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate that, Christy. So I think since we have him up, we'll go ahead and introduce Metro Trafix. If you'd like to come on up and give us your spiel. Appreciate it, Chala.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, ITS Georgia and Georgia ITE for this opportunity. So I kind of came prepared, assuming Mark is going to go before me, so he was going to be short, usually. So I was going to claim his time, but I'm going to do it anyways. Forward. Okay. My name is Chala Bonja, again with Metro Trafix. For any of you who have not heard about Metro Trafix, we are a small traffic engineering firm located right here in Cobb County, but serving communities across Metro Atlanta as well as across the great state of Georgia. In addition, we are prepared to be of service in many of the southeastern states where we are either pre-qualified by the state DOTs or certified as a DBE firm. So since today's topic is about smart cities, I wanted to kind of start by highlighting some of the smart city or transportation technology projects that we are working on. First up is Gwinnett County Smart Corridor, where we are supporting a team led by 360NS for transit signal priority emergency vehicle preemption, which is being deployed using connected vehicle technologies. And the second is in the city of Savannah, which is a very similar project for transit signal priority, working with the city and Chatham County Transit to implement TSP using, again, connected vehicle technologies under GDOT SIGOPS program led by Jacob's team. Both projects are well underway, and we are conducting tests, and things have been going successful so far. And next up is the Cobb County TMC upgrade project, where we are supporting ACOM's team with the TMC upgrade, including video wall, where we're supporting them with the stakeholder engagement and systems engineering and concept of operation development. And I very much look forward to seeing the end product for this project. It's going to be a very exciting one. And finally, it's a little bit unique project. It's GDOT's Interstate ITS design build, where the Atkins Realis is the lead engineer and BBH is the lead contractor. We, in fact, have Amanti back there embedded with the Atkins Realis team, working with the design build project for this. It's kind of, new project for GDOT and for many of us as well. So very excited about that one. And the next at the bottom are two projects coming up. We haven't started working on it yet. The first one is in the city of Marietta, where we are working with the railroad crossing warning system. It's not officially a project yet, but it's been on the news, so it's public information. I can speak about it. So there's a CSX railroad going through downtown Marietta, and we will be helping the team that you see up there with the warning system, advanced warning system for drivers. And finally, we're talking about technologies and smart cities. Data is a big thing these days, so we haven't started working on that one yet, but it's coming up where we'll be supporting GDOT's transportation data services, supporting the HNTB team. This can include connected vehicle data, ATSPM, safety data. It's a bunch of other data, so excited about that one as well. Now, transitioning back into some of the many other projects that we've completed across the state of Georgia. And what you see here is the color-coded map of GDOT's various districts, 159 counties. And the bright green with the check boxes are counties where we have either completed projects or actively working on one. And I'm pleased to share that so far we've completed or working on projects on all of 7 GDOT districts. So I'm very pleased. So we're all over the map. We're a small team, but we could not have done it without the support of all the teaming partners and agencies that you see up here, and including many of you in this room. The ones you see up there in the corner are firms where we have teamed with them on several projects, but we have yet to work on a project together or deliver on a project yet. But I'm sure it will happen very soon. So thank you to all of you. Many of you are representing the firms that you see up here. Just maybe for a demonstration, if you either work with these firms or agencies or have worked in the past, would you raise your hand and want to recognize? So that's great. Thank you so much for all of you, and thank you ITS Georgia and ITE. We are a community. ITE is a community of transportation professionals. ITS is a society, right? So we are all one team and working together. So we appreciate all the support, and with that, I'll pass it back to Matt. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Chala. And we will invite all traffic data up to speak as well, if you all would like to come up and speak. Otherwise, we'll just move on. And let's thank all traffic data as well.
I'm going to catch us back up on time, Shala, for taking a little too long, though. I have one slide. First of all, I just want to say thank you to every person sitting in this room today. If you don't know much about all traffic data, we started 22 years ago. There are probably a few of you in here that maybe not even 22 years old. So one of two things, you're young and I'm old. But thank you. As you can see, we have added another part to our company, or not to our company, we added on to someone else. We are still all traffic data services doing traffic counts every single day, TMCs, ADTs, origin destination studies, anything you can think of, we will find a way to do data collection for you. The portion to your right is Recor. If you don't know much about Recor, we were purchased January 2nd by a company called Recor out of the Northeast. It is a roadway intelligence company with lots of AI and stuff that goes along with it. I am not familiar with them a whole lot other than what we have been just given a little bit of information. So if you have questions about RECORE deals more on the ITS level side of things. All traffic data still deals with the ITE side of things with collecting data for engineers and stuff. But we are willing to sit down and talk over lunch, over a drink, over a round of golf, anything you want to do, we'll go do it. So thanks again for a good 22 years, and we're going to keep going strong from until it's time to quit. So thank y'all.
All right, I think we're ready for our speaker. Well, actually, I have one announcement. So we've got our free public sector coupons for the ITS Georgia, where you put in the code. We only had 8 of our 10 for this last month used, so if you're public sector, make sure you're trying the code so you can get here for free. Okay, so on to our monthly meeting. Austin Harris is the Director of Operations and Chief Engineer at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Research Institute. He oversees applied research initiatives focused on the intersection of AI, big data, and intelligent transportation systems. Austin manages a citywide testbed in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he collaborates extensively with university, industry, and government stakeholders to drive innovation and enhance the safety and efficiency of urban areas. Austin received a BS and an MS in computer science at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Oh, you've been there for a while, haven't you? With a focus on interdisciplinary partnerships and applied research. Austin is dedicated to developing safer, smarter, and more sustainable cities, leaving a lasting impact on landscape of urban development. Thank you all for joining us. Austin drove all the way down from Tennessee to be here, so please welcome Austin Harris.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you, ITS Georgia and ITE for the invitation. It's not too bad of a drive, only about 2 hours. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about University of Tennessee at Chattanooga's Research Institute, focusing mainly on what's called our Center for Urban Informatics and Progress, which is where most of our transportation work happens. So back in June of last year, CUIP actually got ingested into what we call UTC Research Institute. And we kind of have 2 core pillars. I'm mainly going to talk about the transportation, the CUIP side, but I always like to mention the other core pillar is quantum. We have the first commercially quantum network in the United States that's available for testing, validation of quantum applications over the network. So with that being said, CUIP. So CUIP was started in 2018. It all came together through what we call the Smart City Collaborative, which is a combination of the city of Chattanooga, our industry in Chattanooga, as well as the university, to kind of drive innovation and utilize the fiber that was there. I cannot remember the date, but it was early 2000s. EPB, which is the fiber and power provider up in Chattanooga, deployed fiber. I believe Chattanooga was the first city in the U.S., and it might be the first city beyond that, I can't recall, but first city in the U.S. to have 10 gig fiber available to every household and business throughout Hamilton County. And so that collaborative came together, and we wanted to demonstrate what could happen with that. And working with CUIP, we kind of started out with a test bed, and that's where I want to start today, is because that's what's really driven the research, the work with the city, and the other stakeholders as over the last kind of 7-8 years since that first deployment. So I'm going to jump right in to what we call the MLK Smart Corridor back in 2018. So it was right through downtown Chattanooga. So there were 13 signalized intersections. Can everybody hear me okay, by the way? Okay. I don't want to talk too close to the mic. 13 signalized intersections right through downtown, ran right up against UTC's campus. And basically, each of these intersections, we deployed too much technology, what we know today. We had air quality sensors, multiple edge devices, DSRC, which now we have dual mode DSRC CVTX, roadside units for connected vehicle applications, LoRa IoT gateways, access points, just tons and tons of technology. And that was kind of our first iteration, but that allowed us to create and generate real world data. So a couple of the projects that we did for the city of Chattanooga on this original corridor was developing, a near miss reporting system. So we use all those cameras and sensors, and we collected data 24/7, as we still do, but we identify near misses and basically send a report to the city of Chattanooga per day, every day in the evening. So I'll talk some more about the projects that sit on top of this, but really the story behind this is, proving out this fiber as well as, enabling real-world testing, validation of, ITS, connected autonomous vehicles in the real world, and providing that real-world data. CYP, most of the students, PhD, and some of the faculty, they're really focused in the AI field. So, real-world data is extremely valuable for, developing new AI models. Let me take a step back here. There we go. So, since that initial deployment, there's been 3 more expansions that are still occurring today. The first one is these light blue locations. It may be hard to see, but they're along the highway, so very different than the original test bed, as we called it. It's along the highway, not urban roadway, so we can look at different applications, merging applications. From a sensing perspective, there are a wide range of use cases that we can look at there that we couldn't look at on the original corridor. And then the next expansion is the yellow locations. So there's 27 signalized intersections there. Those run parallel right through downtown Chattanooga as well. The reason we chose these, you can kind of see toward the top, it kind of shifts up and then back toward the highway where those light blue locations are. Those are the main 2 arteries into downtown from Highway 27. And same thing, these 2 parallel corridors here are 2 of the main arteries that run through downtown Chattanooga. And then the last expansion is 87 signalized intersections. So basically what we'll have is all of downtown Chattanooga, that entire shaded area, it's all covered by fiber, and every single one of these intersections will be outfitted with CV2X roadside units, edge compute, significant edge compute, 2 LiDARs, 2 cameras, fisheye camera, as well as an IoT gateway. So every one of these intersections will have that functionality, as well as we're helping the city upgrade. With those funds, will help the city upgrade the traffic signal controllers at all of these intersections as well. And as I just mentioned, these are the sensors that will be deployed at all these locations. Another figure, this is kind of got a real-world image. This is one of our original intersections. So this one, as you can see, it was overkill at the time, but we were really exploring and seeing kind of what use cases fit well, what technologies provided value. But again, very, very similar to what will be deployed across all of downtown Chattanooga. Again, we won't be deploying DSRC, as I'm sure many of you know, but we will have CV2X roadside units deployed for connected vehicle applications. Okay, so since we built that test bed, we've been building up kind of these facilities to enable the city of Chattanooga, as well as our industry partners, as well as other academic institutions to kind of come in and use this, these facilities that we're developing out. So what I've here is kind of got a map of what those facilities look like. Down in the bottom right here, you've all seen that. Those are the sensors that I've been discussing just a moment ago. We've been developing with the city a small TMC. We have actually a floor right under the IT department where Intelligent Cities division is located in the city of Chattanooga. So we're working with them to kind of provide them not just a TMC setup, but also we are providing notifications directly through their ticketing systems when we see devices go down, when camera shifts for detection is another application. So they have detection systems at their intersections that provide actuation, and we've developed algorithms for them that basically notifies them if the wind blows those cameras off guard, and those zones are no longer functioning as expected. We provide notifications. So we're really we work extremely closely with the city of Chattanooga, and that's kind of that feedback loop that we drive off of. We also have a driving simulator, which is right above this TMC. It's got hydraulics, fun to drive. Students use it probably more than just for work. Above that, we're still developing out, but kind of a traffic lab basically. We're working on getting some of all the available roadside units that are on the market, a couple of different of the traffic signal controllers, and really kind of building out a place for testing and validation of applications, as well as interoperability, especially from the CV2X perspective. Edney building, that's our off-campus right next to the City of Chattanooga's Smart Cities Division. We've got a dedicated data center that's there to support all of these applications and data that we generate, which I'll talk about here in just a second. We've got a mobile data collection unit, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a couple of slides, so I won't go real deep into it, but it allows us to move around and, places where we don't have, sensors to collect data, we can move that thing around and help the city understand what's happening. We've recently received an autonomous vehicle research platform that we're developing out right now. That's a Chrysler Pacific up there. We also have a couple of dedicated connected vehicles that we can use to generate connected vehicle data throughout downtown. We have a test track that, believe it or not, was used in, I believe it was 2001 for wireless electric vehicle charging. And now there's a sinkhole in the middle of the track, so it's it hadn't been used in a long time, but we're kind of seeing how that can be reimagined with the university, because we kind of started differently. If anyone's aware of some of these kind of test beds that are around, a lot of them are kind of offline test tracks, right? And that provides significant value, and we kind of came from the real world data side, and now we're kind of looking back and say, well, it'd be really great now that we're looking at, autonomous vehicles and some of the other applications that we look at, it'd be great to have kind of an offline, so we don't, hurt anyone, right? So we're looking at reimagining that test track as it stands today. So that's kind of this ecosystem of facilities that we're building out with the City of Chattanooga to kind of drive the Smart City, Intelligent Transportation Systems initiative there in Chattanooga. So to add on to that, the test bed that we developed, we generate, right now we have 13 fully operational intersections with all the sensors, the edge computers that I mentioned earlier. And just with those, I don't have the statistic on this one, but just with those 13 signalized intersections, we're bringing back over 2 billion data points a day in 24 hours. And that's not any raw data, so that's not directly from the sensor, that's processed. Think about road user movement data, connected vehicle messages, signal phasing and timing, the ATSP files from the controllers. We're pretty much bringing back everything back to kind of build this data set that researchers can kind of build off of. So when we originally deployed the test bed, we're still working on it. We're developing kind of this data infrastructure, if you will. It's a real-time, low latency infrastructure that users can come in. We have a software development kit where you can come in and stream data in real time, download historical data, and it's much more secure, as you might imagine, but also provide feedback into the system. So there's a framework we have for actually optimizing traffic signal controllers that you can do right through that SDK versus having to build out all your own interfaces to actually communicate with traffic signal controllers as well. So also a dashboarding component. Again, we use that a lot with the city. The city likes it. They can go and it's got built-in alerting and monitoring, so they can set certain standards based on what values are, and they can get an email or a Slack message. It kind of encompasses everything that we're bringing back from the test bed. And so a lot of our applications that use the data coming out from the test bed kind of utilizes the software development kit in order to make it more easily accessible for anyone that's using this information, including the City of Chattanooga. So here I'm going to talk about 4 core of our research areas and 4 of these projects that are going on right now. So first one is road user safety. So VRU safety is a high priority for the city, and it is a high priority for kind of our research initiatives as well. So we have a project going on right now that utilizes, it's focused on sensor fusion, AI-based sensor fusion, and what we call a safety engine. But at the end of the day, the goal is to provide a framework for fusing data coming from multiple sensors, and learning kind of the driver behavior at intersections, the road user behavior at intersections to identify near-miss events through this fused data. We use we're focusing on 3 different sensors, and these sensors were kind of, the reason we chose these had to do with a previous project we were working on with the Federal Highway Administration. So for this project, we're using cameras, LiDARs, and thermal sensors, actually. So we're looking at, how heavy rain, all the different environmental factors, maybe road geometry, the distance that you need a detection range to be. We're looking at all these different sensors and putting those into a sensor fusion. I like to call it a playbook, right? Because at the end, beyond kind of the code and the software that we develop, my hope is that we can kind of have that lessons learned and kind of a playbook for someone that has a use case, can go in through almost like a a buffet, right? You can kind of choose what you want and make sure that it's going to support your use case. So this is a recently started project. We are using the sensors on MLK, of course. We are working with the University of Arizona and the University of San Francisco as well. Those are both partners, as well as the city of Chattanooga on this project. So this is kind of that high-level outline of what that project aims to do. So I don't want to go too deep into some of the details, but we have a cloud-based platform where all this data comes through and gets through the algorithms that we've developed, basically annotates that data, right? So it draws that detection box, if you will, around each of those detections from each of those sensors as they come in, and fuse that data all together across all 3 sensors. Then we have what's called auto learning and configuration. So this is more operations side. So it's really a tool that operators, as they go out and deploy this system will basically be able to identify mid-block crossings, lanes, and kind of build up that configuration as that system's deployed. So the operator doesn't need to know all the details about LiDAR or thermal cameras. It's all integrated into a single platform. It also does a few other applications around identifying issues around the intersection, obstructions, things like that. But the goal is to simplify the deployment of the system. And then we have the multi-sensor fusion framework. I mentioned that earlier. The whole idea is kind of bringing all these sensors together, because some of these sensors operate better in different environments under different conditions, heavy snow, heavy rain, sunlight can affect some of these sensors. So it's really how that system validates the data coming in and understands, given the kind of the environment that it's in, which sensors is it better to use, and can we validate using at least one additional sensor, maybe 2, under perfect conditions. And then the last one, I mentioned this a minute ago, but the AI-based safety engine. So understanding road user prediction, trajectory prediction, conflict and risk assessment, and near miss analysis. So at the end of this, the goal would be, once it's deployed, all of this will be running in real time, generating these reports from the safety perspective that then can be feedback to, for our use case, the city of Chattanooga. And I mentioned this earlier, but this was developed under this project, and we've had some fatalities at mid-block crossings in Chattanooga, more in the last 6 months than I think in the last 2 years prior to that. So the city's really kind of been looking at mid-block crossings, and so this was kind of a perfect application for us to, build this for this project. So what you're looking at real quick first is we've got a standard optical camera, LiDAR in the middle, thermal camera on the right side of that trailer. So solar battery powered, everything folds up nicely if needed. And then we also have a fixed location with those same sensors. So on the far right side, that's on one of the poles in downtown Chattanooga. So these kind of mimic each other, but they allow us to, again, move around. And so back to the crosswalk, the first thing that we're doing, we've just kind of finished configuring this trailer, is deploying it to one of the crosswalks that the city has been looking at to collect data and kind of understand what's happening. How are the pedestrians using those crosswalks? What other interventions can they add? Beyond maybe beacons or pedestrian island, whatever the use case, whatever the application may be. The first step is kind of getting that data and understanding how pedestrians are using that and how vehicles are kind of reacting. Right? Are pedestrians walking right out on the roadway? Or are they stopping and waiting until it's clear, or just walking whether it's clear or not? Right? So that's kind of step number one. So this is kind of supporting both this project and kind of some of the city's initiatives that are happening in Chattanooga. Just real quick, don't want to go too much into detail, but another part of this project is looking at, because it's heavily focused on VRU safety. So we are really expanding on the classification list, so what we can actually detect. So, versus just saying, a car or a truck, this is the classification list that we are working on. So going way behind that, we're looking at scooters, and I don't know if this is all inclusive yet. But wheelchairs, we actually ordered a wheelchair last week because we couldn't find one on campus, and we want to kind of take that wheelchair and have students, for a week, go out there and actually make sure there is a wheelchair in that data that we're collecting. That may seem kind of odd to everyone, but that's how we have to get the data in order to train these models. Scooters was a big one for the FHWA as well, being able to identify pedestrian or scooters, people riding scooters. We also have, I believe, pedestrian with stroller is another one of the more unique ones that you may not hear about, as well as identifying, road obstructions is kind of included in this project as a whole. So the next area is traffic optimization. This was a project, again, enabled by the test bed that we worked with the University of Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, Oak Ridge, and the City of Chattanooga, funded by the Department of Energy. And the idea of this project was signal optimization, corridor level signal optimization for reduced emissions, reduced fuel consumption. It took about 2 years to develop this project. And we actually deployed and took over the traffic signal controllers on MLK for a day and let this application run. And that was, of course, a big thank you to the City of Chattanooga for allowing us to do this. But we have what we call hardware, software in the loop lab, where we test everything thoroughly before we deploy it to the field, which allows us to identify any issues, make sure signals don't go into flash, because that would be very bad right in the middle of peak hours, right? So we did a lot of testing, a lot of development focused on how we estimate what we call EcoPI, which is the performance metrics for that emissions and fuel consumption. And all of this again runs in real time. So this system takes information directly from the sensors, processes it, generates what we call the EcoPI, and then within the cycle time, manages those signals from the cloud. So the next one is scalable CV2X deployment. So this is a recently funded project. It has not started. These are our partners up here on the top right. The goal of this project is again heavily focused on mid-block crossings due to, as I mentioned earlier, the incidents that have occurred in Chattanooga with pedestrians at crosswalks. But the goal here is to integrate sensors at mid-blocks, roadside units for connected vehicle applications, as well as integrate transit signal priority as well as emergency vehicle preemption through what we call the health corridor. So the area that this focuses on is there's a hospital system in Chattanooga called Erlinger, and it's right downtown, and there's lots of issues kind of with traffic through that corridor. So we are working with with the ambulance services as well as the emergency services in Chattanooga, Tennessee as well, to outfit their vehicles with onboard units for connectivity that will help them, hopefully more efficiently move through this corridor where Erlinger is. We are also going to be outfitting a transit bus with an onboard unit for connectivity as well. We are working with, I don't believe they're up there, CARTA, Chattanooga's Transit Authority in Chattanooga as well. So one more thing I want to add here. From the research side, one of the things that we'll be doing is so that those roadside units and sensors, as pedestrians enter those sidewalks, it won't just be the beacons flashing, but messages will be received, more of a demonstration, right? Everybody doesn't have the app on their phone, but there will be an app on the transit bus, as well as we will have 27 connected vehicles that will operate within this this corridor for 24 hours, or sorry, for a single day. And all those users will get those notifications via their phone, or some of them may actually have onboard units for connected vehicles as well. But they will get those notifications that the pedestrian is in the crosswalk ahead. So that's kind of part of the demonstration side of this project versus the infrastructure side. And then the last one is electric vehicles. So this project is getting ready to begin, but it is basically a combination of everything I've discussed regarding infrastructure, as well as all of the electric vehicle charging stations in Chattanooga will be integrated into this cloud-based platform, along with the real-time traffic data. So some of the information from the electric vehicle charging stations is, if any of you have an EV, you know, sometimes you get there and one of the ports doesn't work, or you know, it says there's a slot open and there's not. So lots of issues there, but we're basically integrating all the different providers of those stations into a single application, and using kind of the real-time information on board the vehicle, you know, understanding what the route is, you know, how much energy they need to get to their destination, you know, all the information basically that we can gather to route these EVs and distribute them proportionately, with the integration with the grid, so EPB, the power and fiber provider. So working with them, we'll have the real-time kind of load on the system, and the idea is kind of optimizing that load throughout the day with all of this information that we're collecting. Now I've got a couple of other slides I want to discuss as well. I mentioned our autonomous vehicle research platform. This will be running between our two offices, our on-campus and our on-campus office and our off-campus office, for demonstrations. We're hosting a conference, the first conference we've hosted in Chattanooga coming up in October. And so we will be using this vehicle as a kind of a demonstration, but this has all been built with the students at CUIP. We worked with a company closely to develop out all the hardware. We're using all open source services as well on board this vehicle. So it's got radar, LiDAR, cameras, it's got a whole power distribution rack in the back, as well as a compute cluster in the back of the car. So this, again, it's really a research platform. It's going to help us kind of build on top of AVs. We're really interested, because of the infrastructure that we have, we're really interested in cooperative perception. So how other vehicles or the infrastructure can help autonomous vehicles, create safer environments, right? Sensors have blind spots just like we all do as we drive along, and one that gets brought up a lot is kind of the blind left turn, where you've got a bus sitting in the lane where you will be turning left into, and maybe there's a pedestrian that's walked out on that road. For autonomous vehicle, that it can't see that until it's coming right around that corner. So using those infrastructure sensors, it can provide information about the location of that pedestrian and provide a warning to the vehicle directly. Won't go too much more into this because I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but we have our driving simulator, as well as our TMC, where we bring back all the data, monitor devices, device management, as well as asset management for the city of Chattanooga. So this is a digital twin of MLK that came to be of the DOE project I mentioned earlier, the traffic signal optimization. So this is one of our intersections, MLK and Georgia Avenue. So this is, we developed the digital twin for 24 hours. So the lines that you're seeing, those are the real-time signals, and these vehicles are generated from the sensor data that we capture throughout the corridor there. So we use this to actually train the AI model that we use to optimize the traffic signal controllers, and control the traffic signal controllers. So this is the driving simulator. If any of you are familiar with Karma, it's a simulation platform, but it's kind of, unless you know Chattanooga, it may be hard to tell, but we basically 3D modeled, almost like a video game, the corridor, the MLK corridor, smart corridor in downtown Chattanooga. So the bottom portion is the simulated. I don't know if I can play that again. Let me see. There we go. The bottom is the simulator. The top is just a real video that we drove along the same segment and recorded data. And so right now, this project, they're working on integrating real-time pedestrian data into the simulation. We also have a VR headset that we're integrating, so you can have a person with the VR headset, someone driving on the simulator platform, and actually, conduct scenarios and seeing how either the pedestrian or vehicles react in those scenarios. Another just cool fact is the autonomous vehicle platform can actually directly integrate into this simulator. So as I'm driving down MLK, if someone's sitting there on the simulator, they'll actually see me drive by. So from, it's called a co-simulation. It's something that we're still working on. But again, this is kind of building a foundation for us to continue building really around pedestrian safety is what our first goal is to start using the simulator for. Yeah, I think this is just another one of the videos, yeah. I think this is some of the real-time pedestrian data versus the other one was data that was just generated randomly. But using the sensors on MLK, we're basically able to collect that pedestrian data and basically replay it in the simulation. Here, again, you can kind of see the modeling of one of the intersections in that simulation. And on the right side, I'm sure some of you are familiar with VisSim. VisSim is what's driving the signals in the simulator as well. So again, we're trying to develop this kind of real-time digital twin where we can replay real-world scenarios, but also say, hey, what if this happened, right? By actually having someone drive in the simulator or wear the VR headset. And then lastly, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the autonomous vehicle, just quickly. On the right-hand side, you can see the LiDAR data coming in from the autonomous vehicle. So we are using this for autonomous driving, and we've developed a map. No, I'm not sure if this is a video. This is not a video, I don't believe. No. But this is the map that we've developed for MLK, and basically that allows the autonomous vehicle to drive down MLK and localize itself. But one of the other use cases that we are working with at the moment are doing asset management through the same type of platform. So as the vehicle drives along, identifying, it's not necessarily a new idea, but having this high resolution of information, we can identify, signage blockages, all the standard stuff, potholes, but also, where the poles are at, where the signs are at. And this system has what's called an RTK, GNSS. So basically it's a centimeter level accuracy on your location. So as you're driving along, you can directly integrate this information into GIS systems, which then when an incident, let's just say, signage is blocked by a tree or foliage, that can be directly integrated into like a reporting system, an incident management system that can then, put in a ticket and get someone sent out and give them the, to the centimeter level exact location of where that issue is at. Was a video, I was wrong. But you can kind of see that, it's fully 3D. This is a bridge. I know it looks kind of weird. It's an old railroad bridge, actually. But when you drive under it, you kind of get all the steel from underneath. So this is one pass down MLK. So you can see all the poles pretty clearly just with the naked eye. Some of the trees. I'll let this finish quickly. Telephone lines. And we have a project going on with Nashville Department of Transportation. We deployed LiDAR. It was not actually a part of the original technology stack for the test bed back in 2018. We added it very soon after. I think it might have been 2020, maybe early 2020, sometime around in there. And now that's kind of a part of our standard technology stack for each of the intersections. And the initial reason we reached out, and I believe, or I know one of those people that was involved in that, Stephen Sheffield, who is here, we were developing a near miss. I mentioned this earlier, a near miss algorithm, but it was based on cameras. And so we sat down with the city and said, look, there's a lot of obstructions. We're using a 2D camera, right? So we're estimating that third dimension, which makes it, the accuracy is not so great. And that's kind of the first initial use case where we stepped into the LiDAR domain. And now we use it for all the standard, counts and pretty much everything is now what we use it on. And deployed at every one of our intersections as well, of course, is on our vehicle. So just a little bit of background about that. And I'll get close to wrap it up here. What you're seeing here is a traffic flow analysis that we did with the city of Chattanooga. There were 2 people killed in early 2024 on Fraser Avenue in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And the city, was basically trying to figure out, what they can do about it. And the proposals that went to city council was a few different versions of a road diet, right? And the city wanted to understand how that would actually affect, the traffic going through. There was business owners that were worried, if it's a lot slower, am I going to get less business? Is that going to drive less business? To our locations? Are people going to avoid this area? Because it is a lot of local businesses along this stretch of roadway. So working with the city, we collected the real-world data for, I believe it was 12 hours, but I think it was from peak time in the morning to peak time afternoon. And that is what you see, I believe, on the left side. So basically there was 2 lanes eastbound, 2 lanes westbound. And on the right side, it's basically a road diet. One lane eastbound, 1 lane westbound, as well as a kind of shared middle turning lane. And through that analysis, the city made the decision to actually implement that road diet, take those lanes on the outside away, add more parking. So this was like a really, a full circle where we actually, we can kind of see those results happening in the city of Chattanooga from some of our studies that we've done with the city of Chattanooga. So I think with that is all I had for today. Thank you again for everyone's time. Thank you ITS Georgia and ITE for the invitation to come share what we're doing down in Chattanooga.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Hold on, we got a microphone so the recording can.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for the presentation. Hello. Hello. I appreciate the presentation. And you put a lot of emphasis on using the LiDAR for your basically detection. But I see that you design a fixed camera at each one of your intersection per approach. What do you use those fixed cameras for if you are not using them for detection?
Great question. So we implemented those early on, and we still have them in our model because they allow us to kind of see outside of the fisheye camera that is used for detections or actuation. And so it's really from a data collection perspective because they can see, the way we have them pointed is really focused on the sidewalks and kind of the pedestrians down the approach further than what the fisheye camera can see. So we actually run video analytics as well as 3D perception 24/7 and bring all that data back. It's not necessarily the data that's used for actuation, but we do use the camera that's used for actuation, the fisheye camera. So it's really from a research perspective, we want to see the full environment, right?
What video analytic are you using? Are you using your own video analytic?
Yes, it's developed in-house, yes.
So you develop it in-house. So you're bringing all of the videos back to the head end and you run your analytics. You're not doing it at
We are doing it at the edge.
Oh, you are doing
Yes,
it.
the LiDAR, LiDAR and the video are processed at the edge.
At the end. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Oh.
Okay. I see the use case for an air quality sensor. And I'm just curious what the application looks like or what the data might be pushed to or who was asking for that data.
Sure. So, great question. So, the air quality sensor was a part of the original kind of test bed that we deployed back in 2018. And since then, the city received a grant. I think they deployed something around an additional 86 sensors, kind of separate from us, if that makes sense. But the project that they were originally working on, and this is by far not my background, but the city has one of the very expensive air quality sensors. I think they're like $15,000 or potentially more. And so what they were using is they were developing an algorithm to kind of calibrate those low quality sensors. So the sensors we have are like $300. And they have, this $15,000, $20,000 sensor that they have. So that was one of the initial project that was used for. Beyond kind of monitoring, right? That was a project that they aimed to kind of develop. Well, maybe we don't have to buy these $20,000 sensors and put them in, all these different areas, right? If we can develop this kind of this model, basically, because we have the high quality sensor and the low quality sensor, we can kind of improve that data coming out of the low quality sensor. And we saw some interesting things even from the low quality sensor, because we had it to where we get alerts. I think I mentioned that earlier. So the city gets alerts if some of the PM measures are way out of line. And a few of the events was they were grinding. It was a construction. They were changing a one-way street to a two-way street, I believe, or vice versa. One way to a two-way, and they were grinding, I guess, some of the roadway. I think maybe it was where the paint was. To update that, and it was just spiking, and it's just different events that you wouldn't necessarily correlate with. The Gatlinburg fire that happened, we saw all of it spike for some time during those events as well. Yeah, thank you.
So I wonder if you have any cabinet stories, and I'm just looking at this photo, and it's got a pretty suspicious looking foundation looking addition thing, and then the cabinet's super shiny. So did you run out of space?
We did. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is the old foundation here where that line is, and the city's like, you're taking up all our space. And so basically they had to upgrade the cabinet, and they poured some additional foundation there and upgraded the size of that cabinet, because we have quite a bit in their cabinets. We have I won't go through the long list, but I think we have more stuff in the city cabinets than the city does. So, but I think that's a great example of like how closely we work with the city. That we ran into these issues and we work very closely with them to make these things happen, right?
Any other questions?
Let us know when you're ready to actuate with LiDAR.
Will do. No sales pitches here. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
I think that's it.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. That'll wrap up our meeting. We'll see you again next month.